Do you want to kill a lot of Guardians and look dang good doing it? Honestly, it's easier than ever with this build. In the background gameplay, you're going to see a handful of we are out of medals, clips from a ton of 40 kill games, even some 50 kill games, and it's all thanks to this banger build that I put together at the beginning of the season and haven't looked back yet. In the new sandbox, the child support build is even stronger than ever before. I'm going to show you in this video, so stick around to see why this is so much better now. But before we dive into that, if you love weapon reviews, fun gameplay, and unique PvP builds that think outside of the box, then would you consider hitting the subscribe button for me? I'm super freaking close to hitting 300,000 subs here on YouTube for the first time, and that's mega cool. Alright, let's get into the video. Earlier this season, I introduced a new build to you guys called the Child Support Build, and I named it that because it's funny. But also because the whole build is about winning duels with the support of your Void Child of the Old Gods. Thus, it came to be known as the Child Support Build. Now, the crux of this build is the exotic gauntlets for the Warlock called the Briarbinds, and these things are dope. If you're not familiar with them, they basically give some pretty wicked buffs to your Child of the Old Gods. First, it's going to make it so that you can pick it back up, and that's huge. I mean, usually the baby it gets deployed, it tickles someone for 20 damage total, and then it does nothing else before it just dissipates. But with the Briarbinds, you can freely deploy it in every duel. You can deploy it multiple times in a single duel. Grab it when you win, grab it when they run away, bring it with you to the next fight, all while your next rift charge is still cooling down. You could even deploy 2 babies at the same time if you kept the first one around long enough and your rift got fully cooled down. It's really silly and it's really fun. I love it. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to get more and more powerful with every kill. So you'll see in the gameplay it starts at 11 damage per tick, but if you keep the train rolling, I've seen it do up to 21 damage per tick. That's crazy. As it gets stronger, it also gets more and more HP for itself, making it even harder for enemies to destroy it. In fact, a lot of times, if I see someone shooting my baby, I'll actually slide in, I'll grab the baby out of the air by clawing the square button, while simultaneously taking shots at the enemy, which then immediately redeploys the baby that I just grabbed with full health again. Honestly, I'm sure it's probably infuriating to play against someone who uses this build really well. And the one thing people seem to forget or overlook is the fact that with every tick of damage your Child of the Old Gods does, you're going to get a small chunk of energy back for your melee and grenade abilities, and that's if you have a Healing Rift equipped. If you're running Empowering Rift, it'll actually give you health back per tick instead. So you can see how Briarbinds are doing a whole lot for you. But I found people avoid builds that change their playstyle, builds that make you adjust the way you approach engagements and map rotation, stuff like that. People don't like change, and their laziness is our gain. Many people would rather just equip an exotic that's just gonna passively work for them, right? Just passively doing stuff in the background without any specific activation requirements. But if you learn to lean into the Briarbinds, like you're seeing in the gameplay, it is my honest opinion one of the most consistently versatile and lethal builds I have ever used in Destiny 2. Now, you would think that in a sandbox where abilities are doing less damage and have slower cooldowns, a build like this would be worse, right? Well, actually, no. Since this build really shines when you're brawling and you're up close where you can capitalize on the chaos of the baby and force your opponent to choose between shooting you or shooting the baby, with less fusion and shotgun ammo in play right now, this just became a lot more dangerous. You couple this build with a sidearm, an SMG, even an auto rifle, and you get in there and you really shove that baby down their throats. It works best when you and the baby are both in close proximity to your target, because they can't just, break line of sight, shoot the baby, and be fine. That happens if you're using a scout rifle or a pulse rifle to deploy the baby. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make with builds like this. A lot of times they'll just stand back and use a pulse rifle or a scout rifle to deploy the baby and think, oh, it's a buffed baby, it's going to do cool stuff. Nah, they're just going to break line of sight, kill the baby, and then re-engage you. So don't do that. They'll take care of that baby in no time. And sometimes I will use my pulse rifle to deploy the baby, to put it out there, but you'll notice that as soon as the baby goes, I chase it in. So remember that old game Army of Two from back in the early 2000s? that's you and your baby. But the lack of shoddy and fusion ammo to foil your duel isn't the only thing that makes this better now. There's a nuanced truth that I've not heard anyone, not a single soul, talk about yet in this new sandbox that I want to unpack for a minute. In the old sandbox, duels were over faster for the most part because there was a lot of forgiveness built in. One of the reasons for this is that you really couldn't just turn your back and run away from a fight too easily. You'd just get gunned down in the back by your opponent. But here's the thing, in this new sandbox, body shots do a lot less damage to your overall health pool. And when you turn your back to an enemy, your head hitbox gets a lot smaller from behind. So just ask any sniper main, is it easier to snipe an enemy who's facing you? Or is it easier to snipe an enemy in the head who has their back to you? They'll tell you, they would rather you be facing them every time. So I've noticed in this new sandbox, it's much easier to disengage and run away from a bad duel because your enemy can't kill you as easily with body shots to your back like they used to. So you can make it to cover a lot more easily now. I noticed this a ton while running my Hawkmoon and Knucklehead Radar build that I posted yesterday. That's how I kept a lot of kill streaks alive, was actually by disengaging, taking some shots to my back before I made it to cover several times. And it really is because body shots just aren't doing as much damage anymore. But we bring this full circle back to the child support build, and there are a lot of reasons why running away simply doesn't work against this build. First and foremost, the baby will continue to tick away at them as they run away for cover, which helps mitigate my body shot penalty and make up for it, so it's easier to get the kill before they get away. The other main reason is that I will absolutely not let them recover their health. I won't. I will grab the baby as they're running. I'll grab that baby and continue shooting them in the back, which then immediately redeploys the baby, sends it out after them to chase them around the corner. And now, even if they make it to cover, that baby just shows up. Boom, it's right there on them. And they're no longer safe. The cover they just got to is no longer safe cover. They aren't able to regenerate their health because the child keeps ticking at them, and I can literally send the baby out after them indefinitely until the fight reaches an inevitable conclusion. And that's really what I'm getting at here. The child support build is a build that demands an outcome to a fight, whether you win or you lose. It's not impossible to disengage, absolutely not, but it's a lot harder to get away from that fight, absolutely. When I deploy the Child of the Old Gods in a fight with the Briarbinds, I'm essentially calling that opponent out and saying, look, this isn't over until one of us is dead. Now, another important part of the build, I'm running Feed the Void so that I activate Devour, whenever I pick up an Orb of Power or I get a Void ability Final Blow. And because of that, I'll often stop shooting when I get the opponent down to critical health. If I've got plenty of health left in my health pool, I'll just stop shooting and I'll allow the baby to finish them off. Now the baby is stronger because it consumed a man, but also it grants me the Devour buff so I can start chaining some kills and getting full health each time I get a final blow. I'm also using Echo of Expulsion to make enemies explode with void energy whenever the baby kills them. And this has led to a number of multi-kills, even full team wipes in Trials of Osiris. Everything about this build just straight up works in this new sandbox. And a lot of it is nuanced things that get completely overlooked. But if you really take the time to understand and evaluate the new meta, you'll see how builds like this really are the future of endgame PvP. Well, there you go, folks. That's my child support build in the new sandbox. If you'd like to take it for a spin, I'll leave a link in the description to the dim loadout for you. Otherwise, feel free to visit my initial video on this build to get the basic mechanics about how to use it properly. Thanks as always for stopping by my channel today. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. These videos are literally how I feed my kids and pay my mortgage. So just know that your viewership means absolutely everything to me, and I don't know where I'd be without you wonderful people. If you enjoyed the gameplay, the discussion, the build, hey, please feel free to drop a like on the video, as that's the best free way to support my content here on YouTube. And I think I'll be using this build at some point in Trials today. So if you want to stop by the live stream on Twitch and see it in action, we'd love to see you there too. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.
Down. Yes. 3 down. Your moments of clarity are weapons, Warlocks. 2 for 1. Triple down. Rage is an excellent motive.